let's go ahead and talk to Frank in North Carolina. Then we'll talk to Lee, Jason, Daniel, Jeff, and others. Go ahead, Frank.
Yes, I appreciate you allowing me to express a point of view. I just got a quick point. I'll try and be brief here, and then I have a solution. The Patriot Act was appropriately named looking back on it. I bought into it at the time because I was under hypnosis like a lot of people still are today. But like you always say, it was never about al-Qaeda. People out there, new people that are listening for the first time today, or you just started listening recently, the Patriot Act was never about al-Qaeda. It was always about the people who would eventually resist this total domination agenda. Now, a solution that I've been trying to think of for a while now and come up with this, I know, Alex, you're not going to like it, probably most of your listeners aren't, so I will put that disclaimer on it for anyone who wants to use this against you. But I think that if we expose this New World Order agenda as being a Talmudic Jewish supremacist agenda, I think that's the best way to get the Jewish community as a whole to put pressure on them to back off.
But see, I don't think that the New World Order system, I mean, every major government uses the same systems of manipulation. Even if they're enemies with another government, they will use whatever the latest tyranny is, whatever the most effective system is, whether it's ancient or brand new, to suppress people. And obviously, you could say in the history of European finance and the Rothschilds and stuff, that, you know, there's a lot of powerful Jews in the New World Order. That's undoubtable. But if you look at it, they were like funding Hitler and then getting double-crossed by him, and they were double-crossing him. And then Jews tried to get out of Germany, and they rich Jews had to pay certain select groups and rabbis millions and millions of equivalent dollars to get out. If they didn't have it, they had a deal with Hitler. They wouldn't let them leave. I mean, just that's all mainstream history, by the way. It's not popularly known, but that doesn't blame Jews for that. I mean, why would Jews irradiate with the ringworm children, is what they called it, in the 50s, 110,000 Jewish kids? I mean, my issue is, here's an example. My dad had a Jewish professor who was the head of the botany department, named Speer, and he was Jewish. And, you know, he talked up eugenics, and he said, not Hitler eugenics. No, but we do need to, you know, engineer society and do all this. And he would say, now not Hitler, but you know, Hitler just did the wrong thing. And so, for me, it's a eugenics cult, and about the elite being God, and they're going to harness science, and they're going to get rid of the rest of us. And, you know, the Nazis are saying everybody's subhuman and they're the elite. You could take some Old Testament interpretations of Goyim and things, and, you know, the outsider is, you know, isn't human or isn't, you know, valuable, so we can kill them. Every culture tends to do that in one period of its system or not. I mean, look at Mecha, La Raza. They say for our race, everything. For those outside the race, nothing. Sounds like the Ku Klux Klan. Same deal. You know, the globalist, at the highest levels, it's a super architecture of manipulation. But sure, I mean, you see a lot of prominent Jews calling for gun control, but they have their own bodyguards. You do see, you know, Israel firsters promoting U.S. tax money to buy M16s for people in Israel, but then saying I shouldn't be able to have a gun. So there is that liberal socialist New York, you know, thing that so many Jews have been inculcated in the last 150 years that is there. But, I mean, I can show you countries where 80% of people are socialist in Latin America. So, I mean, my whole issue is also the whole anti-Jew crowd. It becomes a cop-out for just getting involved in fighting evil. Because I've always pointed out, you know, it's either the Catholics run it or the Masons run it or the Jews run it. People are always obsessed with that, and then they all fight with the other camps about you're covering up for the Masons, you're covering up for the Jews, you work for the Russians, you know. And for me, it's evil. It's systems of corruption. Whoever's behind it, you can argue that all day. It's blocks of corruption, and they're all feeding on their own people. A lot of this is tribal. I mean, you always hear about Italian organized crime. Why don't you ever hear about WASP mafia or Jewish mafia or Irish mafia? I mean, that's all been just as prolific as Italian. I'll tell you what happened. The Italians got too big for their britches in the 50s and started muscling out the Jewish mafia and some of the others, and that's why they got whacked. And they used law enforcement to selectively shut them down. The Italians got cut out. But And there was kind of an internal coup at the CIA with Catholics trying to take it over, and there was a connection to Sicily, and it's pretty heavy stuff. But the whole point is that, yes, I'm against the Jewish mafia. And the Jewish mafia founded the ADL in 1913 on record, and Jewish mobsters founded it, and they are trying to get rid of free speech. But I don't dislike them because they're reportedly Jewish. It's because they're a mafia, or at least they were as they were founded. And they're an anti-civil rights group that runs law enforcement in almost every city. So we've got off into the whole, Jewish obsession. Would you like to have a counterpoint?
Yes, I'd appreciate that. The way I see it, though, and I woke up about 8 years ago, and it took me about 2 years. I used to fight all these guys that talk about this kind of thing. But the way I see it, everything that has to do, and I've checked the names and bios. That's how I came to this conclusion. I checked the names and bios of all the key figures behind of all these agendas, the banking, the society, the destruction of the family, society, all of that. And it seems like there's a lot of infighting in the Jewish community. But one thing they all seem to agree on is they do agree that they like for Jews to be in control of everything. That seems to be, they all agree that that should be the natural order of the universe.
And pretty much every group says that. The British royalty said they had a right to rule everybody. And look, I pointed out, Israel's got race mixing laws. You never hear that in the news, but it's true. It's just that I think obsessing on groups. Here's another issue. I get emails 6, 7 years ago going, you're going to have me on to expose that it's all a Catholic conspiracy and that Catholics are the devil, or I'm going to expose you as working for them. Well, if the person would have said, here's my proof, I'd like to come on, I probably would have had him on. It's all like a mental illness out there. And I go back and forth, but the most vitriolic disinformation crowd I've ever run into is the anti-Jewish crowd. I mean, they're like, we're going to come to your house and kill you. This is where you live. And it's some other poor guy named Alex Jones, very common name. And the person's calling me up going, call these people off. They're at my house. Lying about my family, lying about all sorts of stuff, all because I said that my wife's grandfather was Jewish. And I said that because I'm not ashamed of that. It was like a Jewish doctor. My wife's a Christian. Her dad, Christian family. The whole point is that it doesn't matter. So I've said, I'm Jewish. Fine. I'm Jewish then. My whole issue is that Israel itself, this came out, bombed areas in Iraq and in Spain in the 40s and 50s to get Jews to leave and move to Israel. But see, that's an organized crime syndicate engaged in social engineering. And then I would expand on that, the cop-out. Regardless, let's say there's corruption in government, people using systems of control. Are we smart enough to figure those things out and beat it for the betterment of society? And Aaron Russo was Jewish, did a great job fighting the Federal Reserve and the New World Order, speaking out against it. And I knew that guy, hung out with him, got to know him well. Very nice guy. I know a lot of people that are Jewish who are really smart, neat, hardworking people. And then all I ever hear is the stereotype about how Jews are the absolute filth of the earth, and it's totally avant-garde to be into this for about 10 years to just absolutely hate Jews all day. And then, so all I'm saying is the people, what did Cass Sunstein, who's Jewish, say? He said, we'll infiltrate the conspiracy groups that don't believe official stories, and we'll sow all sorts of horrible stuff to make alternative media look bad. And undoubtedly, I said Hal Turner, at least 11 years ago, was a Fed. Nobody gets on air and says, kill feds, kill judges, kill police. Alex Jones is scum, Alex Jones is filth. He won't say it's the Jews. I said, that guy's a Fed. I could look at him, I could watch him. And hackers broke in, got the data that the FBI was handling him, so he was no good to them. So they let a state judge go after him, and he's in prison. So many times, I'm telling you, it's even bigger than that. And I don't just say that as a political correct cop-out. It's bigger than that. Do you see what I'm saying?
I do, and I do appreciate your points, but I still maintain, I could talk about this all day and the facts that I have to back it up. I just made it very brief here, but... No,
there is a Jewish mafia at the heart of the New World Order. But at the heart of it is also and they always make fun of this, the anti-Jew people, because they're closet Hitler folks. In fact, a lot of them that weren't publicly pro-Hitler later become pro-Hitler, just go, I've always loved Hitler. He's so wonderful. Hitler didn't do anything. He was a wonderful man, which I've studied the real history. He was absolutely a devil worshiper. But the point is is that at the very top, it is Germanic, Luciferian, eugenicist, Jewish groups, Rothschilds right there. You've got the Catholic Church right there at the center of it. Not bashing Catholics, a lot of great people fighting abortion, whatever. But look at all the pedophilia and stuff. It's just any big thing over time gets corrupted and taken over. So see, it's a cop-out. Saying something's pure evil, you can never reform it or even fix it because you're just always saying it's the ultimate evil. And then you've got the British royalty that's really a Germanic death cult as well, but then it's intermarried with the Rothschilds now to a certain extent. And they're just devil worshippers at the top. It isn't even... But look, people are going to do what they're going to do. I mean, look at how the West runs Al-Qaeda. And then supposedly Israel's fighting Al-Qaeda. It's all full spectrum dominance. Do you see what I'm saying? And of course, I shouldn't even like get into what's the top of this without properly breaking it all down because it's such a huge subject.
Well, I still don't buy it. I still maintain what I said at some level. I mean, you always use the argument, well, it's not just Israel. It's also the United States government, and it's the British government. And I mean, from my research, the Jews took over the American government and the British government a long time ago, so that's a straw man argument.
Let me ask you this question. So I'm trying to think of the best way to break this down. The Jews weren't even in most areas of the world until about 500 years ago. The exact same stuff went on in China, Japan. There were no Jews in Mesoamerica where they were chopping out some days 10,000 hearts a day and eating children like lunch meat. It's this old thing of Jews being the root of evil. Okay, and then my issue is it's almost like people attack you if you don't become anti-Jewish with them, and then it forces you over into that camp while I have the ADL attacking me. See, I'm not in that camp either. I'm just here saying Bill of Rights, Constitution, I don't care who's involved. Let's get rid of the Federal Reserve. Yeah, but it's Jews. And I'm like, look, let's just get rid of the Federal Reserve. Okay? I mean, do you see what I'm saying? There's never any working towards waking people up. It's just Jew, 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 like a bunch of parrots in a tree, or Catholic, 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 or black, 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 Mexican, 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 white people, white people, white people. I go look at YouTube, and you got black folks, and they're going, whites are the devil, whites, 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 and whites are like, no, blacks are the devil, blacks, 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 and it just goes on and on and on and on. Okay, how did the Aztecs do bad things without Jews being there?
We're all guilty. But you've got...
No, answer my question. How did they do bad? Because humans are good unless Jews are around, right?
No. There's evil in all groups. By the way, I'm not a white supremacist. That would be ridiculous.
Well, whatever. I mean, my whole issue is I understand that. Okay, I believe you. The point is most of the people out there that were like, I don't hate Jews, I just hate Zionists. And then 2 years later, it's the Jews. I always hated them. Using all the... And it's just, I just don't want to... It gives power to it to hate people. I hate evil people, and believe me, Piers Morgan's evil, and last time I checked, is he Jewish? Here's the deal. When I'm demonized and people say I'm evil and I'm CIA and all this, which I'm not, on the blood of my children, before God, I swear to God, plus there's no evidence, look at my fruits. I mean, nobody works like this who's working for the system. I'm the real deal. Anyone with discernment knows it. But on my children, before God, I don't work for the system, the New World Order, any of it. I work for liberty and what I really believe to be the truth. Okay? People say, I'm Jewish. See, because they can't just say I'm evil. I'm Jewish. Well, I'm not Jewish. Okay? But I would probably be proud of more genetic variant. I'm proud of my Native American blood. People's white supremacists send me emails about that, about you Mongol filth. Just whatever, okay? I know my visions of the universe. I know I love humanity. I know I love children, whether they're German or Jewish or Chinese or Mexican. And that's all I can say. But you've had the floor, and I haven't even gotten to all this news, and I've got loaded phone lines, and this is just not fair. I need to get to Lee and Jason and Daniel and Jeff. I'll at least get to those folks. But now we've gone off into that whole realm of discussion, which if you read what Cass Sunstein says actually aids the Jewish mafia in controlling Jews, who are on average very highly productive, high IQ people. And they've done studies and things, and it's like you can say in any group people are going to have high IQs, statistically very high IQs, and so the mafia wants to control them. Just like the Mexican mafia controls Mexicans and delivers them to abort their babies and use drugs and do all that. They don't care about the Mexicans to empower them. They're a mafia perched on top of them, funded by the Rockefeller and Carnegie Foundations and the Ford Foundation. Ford was a Nazi. What happened with the Ford Foundation? See, it's more sophisticated.